Hey guys, we are going to start another chapter 3 video here. We're working in section 3.3, which is all about solving equations. And the learning target for today, or the essential question that we're going to focus on, is just how can I solve for a variable? So that's really what we're working on. How can I solve for a variable? And go ahead and write today's date, whatever today's date is. Make sure you jot that down. It's always on my whiteboard behind you if you need to look. And we are going to kind of get into a couple of notes that we're going to write about. So if I told you that I had x take away 3 plus 2x, and this is all I knew, x take away 3 plus 2x. At this moment in time, I cannot solve for x. Like if I said, I want to solve for x and find the answer, what's x equal? That's completely impossible. And that's because if I want to know what does x equal, I need an equal sign. So over here, I'm going to put a little star and say there's no equal sign. And with no equal sign, all I can say is, well, I don't have an equation. The only thing I have here is an expression. When there's not an equal sign, we say, oh, this list of stuff is an expression. And we can do things like we can simplify it. So I'm going to write, I can simplify. That is something I can do, but I can't solve for x. It's impossible. It's actually impossible to get an answer and be like, well, wonder if x is 5 or if x is 2 or I don't know. I'm not going to figure it out because there's no equal sign. But I can simplify. That is something I can do. So let's practice that simplifying process one more time here. So we like to put the like terms together. So like this x and this plus 2x would combine very nicely. In fact, I'm even going to like cross it out so I remember I used them. And then this minus 3 could go kind of on the end. I'll cross it out. There's nothing to put the minus 3 with, but I can combine the x plus 2x and say, hey, that's 3x's minus 3. And then that would be my simplified answer. So when I said I can simplify, that's simplifying. But it's not solving. It's very different than solving. So an expression is something that cannot be solved. Let's talk about what an equation is. So down below this, now I'm going to write over here as a main idea, equation. An expression and an equation are different things. Equations do have equal signs. So there is an equal sign. There is an equal sign. That's a huge clue. So what I'm going to do for my equation is I'm going to take the same thing from up above. X minus 3 plus 2x, but now I'm going to say equals 5 plus 2x. Oh, now we've got an equal sign, and now we've got what we call an equation. So this thing is solvable. We can do more than simplify. We can actually solve for x. So I'm going to write, we can solve for x. We can solve for x, which is awesome. So we are going to practice solving for x, and we're going to go through what those steps look like. So what I like to do is I go to the equal sign and I draw a double line or a single line down the middle. I'm going to split this in half so that there's a left side and there's a right side. So x minus 3 plus 2x would be on the left, and 5 plus 2x would be on the right. And I actually can grab my algebra tiles and I can actually build this expression. Watch, I'm going to start building this. So here's an x. It won't be red because it's not negative. It's going to be blue. Minus 3 means I have 3 units that are red because they're minuses. They're negatives. So there's my minus 3. Plus 2 more x's. There it is. And then 5 plus 2x, let's see, 5. So I have to have 1, 2, 3, oh, can't be red, it's got to be positive 5, 3, 4, 5. Oh man, no reds. Okay, there's my 5. Plus 2x, so 2 more x's. Okay, there's a picture of our problem. It looks like this. X minus 3 plus 2x equals 5 plus 2x. And we are going to go through what we call our legal moves. So there are 3 legal moves that we can use. I'm going to write them over here. We learned them in the last video. We can flip, we can zero, or we can balance. And sometimes we do them lots of times over and over too. So we are going to go through the flip, zero, balance process. I'm going to do it once with the tiles and then once by drawing a picture. So flip, what would I like to flip? Well, what I want to do is I want to separate the numbers in the x's. I want all the little units on the right and all of the x's on the left. We're trying to separate them out. So these three red little units that are on the left need to flip over here to the right. There we go. So now we got a whole bunch of units. That's flip. So I'll put a little check mark by flip. Now I get to 0. I get to look for 0 pairs. So 0 pairs are when you have something like a negative and a positive. So like if I had a red and a blue together, that would be a 0 pair. But in this problem, I actually don't see any 0 pairs. Everything is positive right now. So I'm going to cross 0 pairs out. It doesn't look like it's working. Then I go to the last step, which is balance. And balance is when you have something equal on the left and the right side that can come off of the mat. So in this case, it'd be these two x's. Look how they're matching. There's 2 on the left, there's 2 on the right. So because of that, we get to balance them off the little teeter-totter scale. They come off at the same time, and we're left with this. And what we're left with is a big pile of units and an x. And we're left with an answer. Here's the x. It equals how many little units? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units. X is equal to 8. And there's our answer. We solved our equation. Now, using the tiles is kind of fun to do it, but after a while you kind of get tired of like pulling out the algebra tiles out of the bag and having to kind of work with them. So we're going to try to practice in this video just drawing it and not having to actually use the tiles. So let's try without the tiles. Let's do an example 1 where we use no tiles. Okay, so here is our problem. We are going to solve 2y plus 3 equals y minus 4. 2y plus 3 equals y minus 4. Looks like we're trying to solve for y. So I'm going to put that line down the equal sign, kind of split this problem into a left and a right side. And then I'm going to start drawing my tiles. So I have 2 y's. So the y's are those long purple ones that look like this. I'm going to draw 2 of them. So 1, 2. And then I'll put a little y inside of here. I have to decide whether or not I'm going to shade them in. And in this problem, 2y would be purple and positive. It's not a negative 2y. So yeah, I'm going to grab my pencil here and just shade them in dark. Make them positive. And then I have plus 3, so 3 units. 1, 2, 3. Those are going to get shaded in as well. Those are plus, they are positives. And then I have y take away 4, so I have another y. Here's my y. It's positive, it gets shaded in. It's not negative. And then I have a minus 4. So minus is negative, so I finally have some negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. All right, there is our visual of our problem. Now it is time for the 3 legal moves. Flip, 0, balance. So we're going to practice those moves. Flip, 0, and balance. Okay guys, so let's go through those legal moves now. We're going to do that flip, that 0, and that balance. So what will we flip first? Well, we're trying to get y. At the very end, we want it to say y equals. We want an answer. So we're kind of trying to get the y by itself. So I'm going to take those 3 positive units, those plus 3, and I'm going to flip them over to turn them into negative 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 negatives. And that'll get rid of them, which starts getting our y by itself. But it also causes, on the other side, us a chance to look for 0 pairs. So flip, done. Let's look for some 0 pairs. So 0 pairs are when you have a positive and a negative. And in this problem, I actually don't see any 0 pairs. These look like all negatives. So I'm going to cross out 0. And I'm going to move on to my last step here, which is balance. What can we take off of the left and right side that would match up and be the same thing? Well, to me, it definitely looks like that y tile. I see a y here. I'm going to draw a little arrow, and I see one over here, which we could balance off. We could take them both off at the same time. We could take that y away and take this y away, and then look what we're left with. We're left with an answer. So we've officially balanced. I'll check mark that. Now we've got y by itself, and over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. So our answer, those are negative 7 units, is y equals negative 7. And there it is. There's our answer. All right, guys, so we're going to continue to practice this process quite a bit. We're going to do an example 2. And this time, for example 2, here's what we're going to do. Let's solve for x again. This time we're going to solve 3 plus 2x equals x plus 1. 3 plus 2x equals x plus 1. So we're going to take that equal sign and split it down the middle, divide our paper into like a left and a right hand side. You can even write that. You can put up here left, this is the left over here, and this is the right side over here. So we're dividing it down the middle into a left and a right. We're going to draw what these tiles would look like. 3 plus 2x means you have 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and they're positives, they're not negatives, so I'm going to shade them in. So 3 positive units. Plus 2x means you have 2 x's, so here are my x's, and they're also positive. I'll label them x, shade them in. And then on the other side I have x plus 1, so here's my x again, there's another x. We'll shade it in because it's positive, and plus 1 is another positive unit. And there is our picture, there's our setup for our problem. And now we go through the process of flip zero balance. Every time I write it down on the side, flip zero balance, and I start going through those steps. So remember the goal. At the bottom, we want it to say x equals, and we want an answer. So our goal is to get x by itself. So I'm going to flip these 3 units that are right here, these plus 3 positive units, over to the right side, so that now when they flip, I have 3 negative units. That will be my flip move. Get rid of those. So I'll cross them out, kind of helps me know that they're gone. And now I'm down to 2 x's equals x, and then I have a plus 1 and I have a minus 3. So now we go to zero pair, and I do see a zero pair this time. I see one positive and negative that matches up, so I'm going to be getting rid of that positive and negative, and that takes care of our zero pair. Now let's move on to the last move, which is balance. What can come off of both sides? What can we balance off? Well, we could balance off this x, we could balance off this x, and if we took them both off at the same time, then they'd be gone. So I'll cross them out. And now we've officially gotten x all by itself. The only thing on the left-hand side is an x, and the only thing on the right-hand side is these 2 negatives. So our answer is x equals negative 2, and there it is. All right, are you feeling like you're getting better at these? I really hope you do. I'm going to give you a you try now, and we're going to see if you can do this. It's time to test yourself. So here is your you try. So for your you try, I want you to solve for x, and your problem is 4 plus x equals 2x plus 1. 4 plus x equals 2x plus 1. Now, your job is to hit the pause button on your device. Go ahead and try to solve by drawing a picture and doing your flip zero balance. And then when you're ready, let's check answers. Okay, you ready to check your answer? Let's see, let's go through our process here. So I'm going to draw my line down the equal sign, divide my paper up. I'm going to have a left side, and I'm going to have a right side. So we're kind of splitting the paper into a left and a right. And on the left, we have 4 plus x. So we're going to draw the 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they'd be positives. I don't see a negative sign. So there's my 4. And then plus x means I'm going to draw an x. Looks like this. I'll shade it in. And it equals 2x plus 1. So here's my 2 x's. X. And here's another x. And then my plus 1, which is going to be a unit, a positive shaded unit. There's my picture. So hopefully we agree on our pictures. Now we go through the steps. So I'm going to start with flip, and then I'm going to try to zero, and lastly balance. Now this one's going to be a little bit of a tricky one, because typically what we've been doing every time has been taking the little units and flipping them over to the right. So I'm going to guess a lot of you probably did that, and that's fine. I'm going to do the same thing as you. I'm going to take these 4 units, move them over, so that we have negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll be my flip move. That'll get rid of these, so I better cross them out. And now I'm down to an x on the left, 2 x's on the right, and then a plus 1 and a minus 4. So now I go for zero pairs, and I do see a zero pair, so that's good. So I've got these for my zero pairs. I'll get rid of my zero pairs. And then I'll go for a balance move, and again, we can balance on this problem. We could take an x from both sides that match up. So I'm going to take an x off of both sides, balance this off, get rid of the x's, and then it would seem like we would be all done and have an answer. But look what we've done. We've balanced, but look what we're left with. What's on the left-hand side? There's nothing. We've totally taken everything away. There's a big 0 over here. What's on the right-hand side? Well, we have an x and we have a -3, 3 negatives. So this is what we have right now. 0 equals x minus 3. That's not an answer for x. So what I'm going to do is I'm like, man, I was supposed to get x all by itself. It should be all alone. It shouldn't have the -3 with it. So I'm going to take that -3 and I'm going to flip them back over to the other side. I'm going to do another flip move, basically adding an extra step, and that's going to turn them back into 3 positives. 1, 2, 3 positives. But what that does is it puts those on the left so that 3 is on the left, x is on the right. Now we have our answer. 3 equals x. And there it is. 3 is equal to x. Now, if you did this and you're like, oh, I got the same thing, but when I wrote it like this, x equals 3. That's okay. These are the same. There's just 2 ways of writing it. They're the same thing. So 3 equals x equals 3. You can do it either way. But most importantly is you got 3 for your answer. So in this case, I had to throw in an extra flip. All right, guys, I hope this was a helpful video. And in class, we're just going to keep practicing this, and it'll get easier and easier over time. Thanks, guys. Bye.